Son.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, when they moved to, of course, we went to your dad's graduation when he was in Chandler, and Dorothy and I went, and of course your yaya was there. Then they moved to Tucson, and then they would start coming to church, of course. And you were born. You were just a little infant. That's what you want to hear about.
I do want to hear about that.
And they would come to church, and I could hold you all the time.
Aww.
That was my, my dream. So they did that. They allowed me to do that. And then in those days, I was in charge of the pastries for our festival. So that meant that I had to get my group together to, we did the baking. And then we packed them, and then when it came time towards the festival, we had to unpack them and, take them. And your mother and dad and you came and helped all the time. Mom and dad helped me pack, pick up these heavy things and put them in the freezer, and then when the time came, I think they were still around. I can't remember how long they lived here.
Not very long. I think just like 6 months or something.
Whatever, but it was enough for us to become very, very close.
Yeah.
And then I think they moved to Alamogordo next.
Denver next.
What was their
Was
name?
it Denver and then Alamogordo?
What was their
Are
name?
you sure it wasn't Denver after
I'm
that?
sure because George was born in Denver, and then Andrea was born in Alamogordo.
Okay, excuse me. What?
Yeah, her parents' name, married name was
Cathy and Chris Zarellas.
Relish, yeah.
Well, I will tell you one night, I had, Uncle Chris was visiting us, Uncle Chris and Aunt Dorothy, my brother. And I said, I had invited your mom and dad to come and have dinner with us. And,
Now, did my dad know Uncle Chris yet?
oh my God, yes.
How had they met first?
They met when your dad was a very rebellious young man from the service, and his mom said, your mom, Jenny said, why don't you go to California? And, or maybe he did it on his own. I don't remember the first time he went. And he met one side of the family, and of course, I guess it was not quite to his liking. So he told his mother, forget the Greeks. So he had time there, and I guess your mom told him, or got his, Chris's address. So your dad had no place to stay, I think, probably,
Okay.
or said, I have time on my hands, I'll just check it out.
Yeah.
So he went there, and I believe he stayed like a month or so
I think
with
I
Chris.
heard that. Yeah.
And he and my brother Chris in those days, and even
Did they
today, but
surf? Was that part of the story?
surfing?
Yeah.
No, Chris never surfed.
Okay.
But my brother was in the worked for Capitol Records,
Okay.
so he was hip with all the stuff and with young people like your dad, and he straightened him out in a hurry because he spoke to him in the language that your dad was familiar
Yeah.
in what he did in those days. And let's see. So he stayed there, and Jenny, his mother, said that my brother really straightened him out, which I believe he did because Chris was that kind of a guy. My brother, he could really relate to the young people.
Okay.
And being in the music business, there's all this hip hop and whatever it is going on. So it gave your dad a different perspective on
Okay.
some of the relatives. So he absolutely, whenever he was around Chris, my brother would make him laugh until he would practically roll off the floor. So when Chris came, which Chris did, Chris lived in Phoenix, and
Okay.
of course he would come periodically.
Okay.
So at this time I said, yes, come. And I don't think we had anyone else for company, I'm not sure. We may have. At any rate, I said, Chris and Cathy, come. So like the day before, your dad called me and said, gee, Aunt Nora, we're getting a guest. We're getting 2 guests from out of state, and I said, "Oh, well, that's okay, Chris. You can come another time if you want. Then I know you have company." He said, "No, no, no. I mean,
I want to bring them.
yeah, could I bring them to your house?" That's how much he wanted to see Chris Veritas. I said, "Of course, bring them." Well, oh my God, my brother Chris, who could be very funny. But in other times, he's not very funny. I didn't think he was. He and this young girl, and I
He's
don't...
what they call an asshole.
Ooh! Jim, that's not
Well,
nice.
that's what they call it.
This is recorded.
Huh?
Don't worry about it. It's just for me.
Avoid that one. You don't swear. Anyway, this young lady and Chris kind of got into it, and I don't really even remember exactly how it all happened. But every time she would say something, and then my brother would come back with some kind of a sarcastic remark, I would quickly jump in and change the subject. And your dad was taking this all in as he could do, and laughing his head off. And I'm dying over here on my side thinking,
the
oh my
hostess,
God,
yeah.
I have a guest that I've never met before, and my brother's being very rude. So it went on all night for dinner, after dinner. And, but my Chris's relationship with your dad, Chris, continued, so I guess it wasn't too bad. So that was one of the funny nights. And the other nice thing is when your dad would fly, he would occasionally he'd fly to Hawaii. I remember his bringing back Kona coffee, and Kona coffee is quite a delicacy.
Mm-hmm.
At least it was in those days. So I thought that was quite nice. And from there, we maintained our friendship.
And what was, because my mom was really a fish out of water at that point. She had never, she was so far away from home.
Oh, of course not. Your mother, yes, I have to tell you that. Your dad he said, boy, I love it here. I would love to live here.
Yeah.
And your mother's sitting there saying, no, not saying too much, being polite.
Yeah.
But her heart was back in Chicago because her mother and dad were there. Of course, I could understand that.
Sure.
So your dad would say things like, don't sell the house, I'll buy it someday. I'd like to buy it someday and move out there. Well, now that he went back to Chicago. But then from here he went to Colorado and met this gal named Mary Brent. And they became friends. I don't know if this was a very nice gal who was married to a non-Greek, but she had been in the service, so I don't know, and not in the service. She worked for the airlines.
Okay.
And she got to know your dad and mom. She was that kind of a woman, very friendly. And she mentioned one day, she said, well, I'll be moving to Tucson. And he said, oh, wait. He said, I have an aunt who lives there. So you have to meet her. So one Sunday, she came to town, and she came up to me and she said, I'm sorry. She said, do you happen to know someone by the name of Nora Retzinus? I said, yes, I do. That's me. So we became very fast friends after that.
Oh, neat.
Even to this day, she still lives in Colorado, and occasionally we will contact each other by phone.
Oh, nice.
So that was very nice. And then your mom and dad moved to Alamogordo.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I think that was it. And
then we headed back to Chicago.
yeah, and that was it. And then the rest is history.
The rest
Because your
is
mom she finally got her, her wish to go back. And I know your dad loves it now. I don't think he would ever move out here. They would like
Well,
to
now
go
with the
out.
grandchildren, yeah.
Right, exactly. And not only does he have the grandchildren, but you're all together in the same location, which is, how lucky can that be?
Yeah, it is really nice for all of us.
Right.